Well, there's Venenu in your screen. Pretty good performance out of him there as well. Spoke to him a bit about the Zapman where he got soloed earlier on today. And that was him saying, listen, I kind of felt myself and I walked into a Zapman with Iqval and then realized my life was over. He didn't even use a single relic because he knew it was already dead.
I mean, talking to him during the interview, he's an awesome kid. Really excited to be here. You can see it on his face right now. And he was telling me that Zap's a guy that he's looked up to forever. So, you know, you're at LAN, you think you're in an advantageous position. Yeah, I want to solo Zap at LAN. And then crap, I just got soloed by Zap.
Well, Allegiance have a pretty good situation here as well, Drelo, as well. This group for them, you know, they came in second overall, though. When you look at the points where they played against the other teams, they were seeded third overall based off the performances they had. But then seeing how day one's gone, the fact that they can go above LG here, it's a great sign for them.
It honestly depends on how they do against LG. We saw Eager with the 2-0. They were pretty much ahead of them. It all depends on how they do against LG and whether or not Rendozas, if they can get the 2-0, whether or not Rendozas can take games from other teams and sort of help LG boost, or ALG boost themselves up.
On top of that as well, Aggro, as we're going to pick some bans here, are we really seeing a LAN meta develop? The only real meta I've seen has been the Raw.
The Raw, and that's really just the best, doing best stuff. And we saw Noble try and run it, no real effectiveness there. And that's you know, that's someone besides Snoopy trying to play Raw mid. That's just trying to do something that you're not used to.
Well, pick some bans coming through here. This should be a Giannis ban ISO pick, I feel, for Noble here, away from Stealth.
If Stealth doesn't get the Kukulkan, he's automatically going to look to the Giannis. If they somehow, if they don't pick the Giannis here, look for a new wall from Stealth. Those are his bread and butter picks. The Kukulkan Guan Yu, those are textbook first throwaway bans as first pick, or target bans rather.
Well, they're going to take Jing away for themselves. Give that one over to Wowy here for a little bit of strength, the mobility, the ability to just to clear a wave and back, and even take a trade that can go in their favor.
Venenu's shown that he's able to play that very effectively. The problem with picking Jing Wei here is you leave open Terra.
Ooh.
Now Noble, we saw them completely waste a ban by banning Cirquet last game after 2 Guardians in mid locked in. They've got to know that this is Athena jungle here.
Well, this time round, we're going to see Mirage go for the Nemesis now, Drelo. How do you think about this?
This is what I wanted to see last game. Nemesis in the tank compositions is very, very good. You ult the Athena when she dashes in, rip the protections, and just blow her up.
And that was the one thing I saw out of North America talking, actually, about EU, and the fact that, why are they able to build double Guardian here when Nemesis was left up all that time?
Nemesis, Cirquet, gods like that can shut down the double tank heal sort of composition, but going for the Nem here, again, this is not only great into the double tank like you mentioned, Drelo, but a god that Mirage is very comfortable on. We saw him get a big lead on the Mast on this god, even on a later game god like Nemesis.
Now, you said Nox as well, Drelo. We saw it get locked in here. How important is this? This is a lot of control that Allegiance have here.
Now, with this first 3 picks, you can sort of tell how the game's going to go. They're going to have a very, very strong early game. Right now, it's going to depend on whether or not they can snowball their lead. In the mid game and late game, Nox starts to fall off because he doesn't really... People have double actives, they have beads, Aegis. They can sort of fight through the Nox damage as well. Nox doesn't really do as much damage late game.
That's true.
And so the biggest thing for me is if they can snowball the early game and mid game and late game, if they're even, they need to look for picks instead of looking for team fights. Nox is not a good team fight guy. She's very good for picks.
I agree with that as well. When I look at the Allegiance lineup here, Aggro, not a lot of damage, a burst damage here. Obviously, we said Nox, you know, going to be scaling off a little bit in the later stages. They need some burst from somewhere.
They do, but we saw them run, when they ran this Nox composition last time, you saw Weekend pick up the Sunder. I assume that he'll be picking that up here as well. It augments your damage, not only because it does damage as a relic, but it strips away a ton of protections from the enemy. So even if you're taunting in Fafnir or a solo laner, you lay down the Nox 2, you root him in place, you hit him with the Sunder, and all of a sudden, that explosion's not doing 450 damage, it's doing 700 damage.
Medusa is a very good pick here. Synergizes very well with the Athena. I'm almost surprised we did not see the Neath. Neath has the global ultimate that synergizes with the pick comp. Also, Neath has very good follow-up off the taunt. You know, taunt, shield wall into root is a lot of damage.
And it's also got control again. And talking about control, even more could be looked at here with the Erlang Shen, the final pick. Allegiance just going to burn Purification every single fight.
I love this composition from Allegiance, but on the other hand, I also really like this comp for Noble. This is the best composition that I think Noble has drafted. It's heavy on CC, it's heavy on tank shred, it's mobile, it's got damage, it's got everything you want in a composition.
Is this the comp they need, Drelo?
I think this is going to be a very good game. It's all dependent on whether or not ALG can snowball the early game.
What about you, Aggro? Who are you going with this game?
I still feel like ALG's looking too strong. Again, how well can Stealth follow up off the CC? That's the key for me.
Well, let's find out. The casters are ready. We're ready. I'm sure you guys at home are ready. Game 2 of Allegiance versus Noble eSports.
Thanks a lot, guys. We're here to clean up the day. It's Noble versus Allegiance, and here in game number 1, if you're just joining us, well, You missed a very tough one. Allegiance kind of led from the minute 1 to minute 23. It was that quick of a game. And here in game number 2, whatever the picks and bans may be, we can see right here. But unfortunately for Noble, I don't know how they get out of that hole.
Well, they banned away the Guan Yu and the Kukulkan, taking away some comfort picks away from Allegiance. And that's what you have to do, adapting from game 1 and 2, especially such a big loss coming out of that for Noble. You have to be able to transition this, and I think that's a good style to take that off the table. And now it's going to be Noble trying to first pick the Jing way, trying to maybe win a 1v1 matchup in the dueling.
And that's one of the positives. A lot of people talk about MLC Stealth's God Pool as a negative, and at the end of the day, I think they're somewhere in between when it comes to having a God Pool full of weird picks. What happens is exactly what you see here. They forced a Kukulkan ban. Like, that's not supposed to happen. And because of that, well, MLC just gets a little bit weirder. He's going to be on this Nox. We saw the Nox earlier today, and like I said, if you've been following Brett for a while, you understand that this Nox pick is something that he's been wanting to pull out. He plays this character just as well as any other god that anybody else plays. And one of the things that MLC said when he joined Allegiance was that, hey man, you know, on the previous teams that I was on, speaking about Envy, I guess, without naming anything, he said, look, my team didn't trust me. I couldn't play what I wanted to play. I had to play what the team wanted me to play. Allegiance, there's wiggle room. Venenu playing Medusa all day today. MLC Stealth gonna play Nox. He finally gets the opportunity to play what he wants. We saw it happen in earlier in the day. He smoked everybody with that Nox. This is a character that I'm happy to see bring out, and MLC Stealth is happy that he's getting to bring it out himself.
He's very comfortable with this guy. We saw him run it against Eager in their last set when it was the Susanoo, I believe it was, coming out of DJ, and it makes sense because you shut down the potential diving all in, and that's the same style that Mirage will bring playing the Nemesis, wanting to dive the backline. And because of how tanky the front line is coming out of Allegiance between this Erlang, Shen, Athena, and Terra, this allows Stealth to play the Nox and want to either be a utility-style mid-mage, or if he goes for the glass cannon.
Yeah, I mean, there's two different options here. Obviously, the giant silence and, of course, the giant root. MLC Stealth certainly has some control, but, I mean, the snipe's already on Reddit. There was a shot. It was such a cool replay as Venenu gets hit a little bit. Going to get healed up by his support. The coolest part about the Nox ult is that it's long-range damage. It's similar to like Raw snipes, right? MLC in the replay, you can check it out a little bit later. The Nox bubble comes from off-screen and kills somebody, so the damage is certainly there as well. Whalrus gets stuck out. Cope trying to make it happen, but unfortunately not able to seal the deal just yet.
That's what you have to do as an Erlang Shen. You're trying to abuse the Vamana. Even if the Vamana gets his dash to level 2, that cripple's going to prevent it from happening. And once Whalrus does get his dash, it could be a potential outplay as long as Cope can wait for the dash at the perfect timing, finding that root cripple. And as a result, now Whalrus, he's losing in the potion battle. And on top of that, it's with the death toll for Cope, he should be able to out-sustain Whalrus.
Noble's got a pretty traditional composition here in the duo lane. With the Jingwei and on top of the Fafnir, tons of lane pressure. Incon and Venenu on their Terra Medusa is not exactly traditional, but what was all the damage that was done to Venenu earlier on was able to be healed up thanks to Incon.
Just a lot of potions being utilized, and this allows, because of the fact that Venenu is trying to rush the Transcendent start, he's able to get more potions. Normally we see some kind of a different rush style, whether you're going for the Devil Gloves or if you're trying to rush the boots, but normally you don't get that many potions.
Yeah.
But because of how aggressive the nature between Wubbn and Wowy is, this is a good pickup.
Nice jump. Wubbn barely gets out of the smack coming out of Incon. The wall slam not quite on the mark to find the stun, which would have inevitably followed up with some damage out of the Medusa. So good jump coming out from Wubbn.
In mid lane right now, we see both members of Allegiance. They're wrapping around underneath. It looks like they're going to go for a first blood flank.
Yeah, here it comes. Weakened from the backside. MLC Stealth here as well. There's the silence on top of Enduro. But not enough, honestly, just not enough accuracy from both Weakened and MLC. It looked like they had two different targets in mind, and because of that, first blood not on the menu.
It seemed that they forced out Enduro's Purification earlier on before that engagement, and that was the primary target, but the dash taunt coming out of Weakened was not on the mark. A nice Thunder Crash away prevented that from happening, disjointing that opportunity. So now Enduro barely escaping that one.
Yeah, good play overall coming out from Noble to escape that what seemed inevitable first blood. And instead, Mirage going to make his way up the mid lane as everybody else resorts back to base. This is our last game of the evening, folks. We started off 1 p.m. today. It's a change from last week. We'll start the weekend as well. We got to see LG versus Eager. earlier on. Eager taking both of those games, and then ALG winds up splitting with Eager. And it looks like ALG, they don't want to split with Noble. I think they want to take this one to the bank. Noble answer back with a couple of ultimates, and the right side is going to be safe one more time.
Cope doing a great job forcing out 2 ultimates between Whalrus and Mirage, and that could maybe force out Allegiance's hand. We see the rotation on the right-hand side. Weekend forcing the issue, forcing out Aduro's ultimate and walking away.
And there's the ult out of Aduro. I don't know if we can force it or if Aduro going to force Weekend to the ground. Incon's rotation proves fruitful, and the mid lane goes down for the first blood on the side of ALG. Credit well to the support this time around. Mirage going to barely find his way. Is he safe? And he is.
No, he's not. Mouse C stealth with the last possible tick. Great ultimate. He dashed through Mirage, also finding that last in hand as he was entering that tier 1 tower, set up the last possible tick. Every execution move from stealth there was just perfect and spot on.
Beautiful point. He had 1 HP quite literally, and then down he fell. Just that every time in your own game that you miss a mage basic and you say no big deal, now that is a big deal right there, proving that every bit counts. 2 kills on the board for Legion's first blood, going on top of Incon, and MLC making the exactamundo play to take down 1 as well. Noble unanswered just yet.
That just goes to show the importance of the itemization choices sometimes that you do. Just now being able to pick up the tier 3 boots. Whalrus though getting focused in a 1v3. His ultimate, his dash being interrupted by a nice taunt from Wubbn.
Great play coming out there. 3 kills on the board, and Cope, he's got the Athena ult on him as well. Aduro's going to take some damage, but Mirage looking to turn around. Cope's very low, and Incon can't reach him, but he can stop Mirage. Great play, and heads up awareness coming out from the support. But unfortunately, I think Cope's going to go down anyway. Wowy on the Jing way, able to rotate and make that kill count.
Solo for solo right now, right-hand side. Noble, they're basically trading out to each other, but that forces Stealth to stay in the mid lane, getting a lot of experience. He's 2 levels ahead of Aduro, and that's going to be really problematic right now because the Shoes of the Mad Guy are online for Stealth. He's going to be able to just do so much damage.
And right there, we see the power of the Jing Wei. Medusa just had no chance to rotate whatsoever. Medusa made it to red buff when Wowy got the kill. So, I mean, it's just very powerful what this character can do. But, ooh, off the money when it comes to the dash. Wowy making those splash hits count. A lot of damage. And the stun not going to happen with a quick turnaround. Wowy will be safe in the Hunter battle.
Venenu realized that he was losing the battle slightly, so he had to use his ultimate to basically deter Wowy away from the 1v1 skirmish, as well as the same time clearing the wave. But at the same time, Wowy is playing the Jing Wei, so he'll be back in no time. And now Allegiance running the double Wrath combination. They should be able to secure this one, and they do at the 6-minute mark.
Very clean. Noble unable to really come in time. Show up just as the double Wrath goes down. And Allegiance take that one to the bank. It's going to be a decent enough lead here. 6.5 on the money, on the clock, that is. And Alina's leading by about 2K.
Mirage doing a great job using the shield, just taking away the damage from the root from Stealth. Now, if he gets silenced by Stealth, that's going to negate the shield completely. Any sort of CC will interrupt that. So I like the idea also of the Nox as a result. If Mirage ever dives that, he can't really use the shield.
Decent taunt there from Weekend. Gonna poke out the Hunter just a little bit and actually snatch away the red buff, it looks like. Well done. Weekend with the sort of drive-by invade. Not really sticking around too long, just a dash, a shield wall, and we'll see you later. Red buff on the floor, and Wubbn looks like he's gonna go in the same spot. Everything coming into the situation, and Nox unable to find it. Wubbn lives to see another day for the moment.
Just a little bit too impatient, but still so low. He's gonna get knocked out. Mirage finding the kill, and finding a double kill against Venenu, and now it's Incon left in a 1v4 situation.
And here comes everybody else on the side of Legions, unable to really try to find much of the kills. 3 kills even. Noble making the comeback thanks to Mirage. Still down 2,000 gold, but a number of kills along the board.
But unfortunately, the gold fury is down, so they can't really find anything
But unfortunately, the gold fury is down, so they can't really find much off of it. And with almost 8 minutes on the clock, Allegiance are still in the lead for the moment. Mirage going to turn around and try to look towards these right-hand harpies, but Cope is there as well. And as we sort of look at 8 minutes, we're going to think about what Noble can do to really make it back in here. Right now, they're not too far behind. They got to make sure that they forget about game number 1. But when it comes down to it, game number 2, quite a different story.
Seems that Noble is grouped up in the mid lane right now. I'm trying to see and figure out if what Noble's intentions are off of that double kill with Gold Fury being down. They really have to figure out a way to continue getting more kills.
And that's what they're going to look for. Noble, when they were fighting against Luminosity, one of the big takeaways that I sat there saying was that Noble were team fighting very well. They were able to go toe-to-toe with LG almost across the board when it came to those team fights. And looking at Allegiance, you know, that's a different story. Noble aren't winning these team fights. So where does Noble really pivot to?
They have to be able to stop the healing coming out of Incon. They're going to have to force themselves into, you know, some Brawler Speed 6, some Pestilences, maybe a Curse for the second Relic. But up until this point, Allegiance, they really like this kind of tanky meta. So if Noble can't find the early kills, then that's going to be problematic in these team fights.
That's certainly on the minds of everybody else. Our final matchup for the evening, and Allegiance here. We're going to take this one to the bank. Allegiance earlier played against Eager, and like we said, they wound up splitting, so they just have 1 point at this moment. But if Allegiance wind up taking down Noble, that'll give them 3 for this match and 4 in total.
It seems that Noble has been doing a better job in their second games of the sets.
Yeah.
In their last set against Luminosity, it was the same story. It wasn't as bad as it was against Allegiance, but now Venenu going to get dove by Mirage's ultimate, but the nice little turnaround with the ultimate from Weekend.
And a beautiful, I love this combination. Venenu's still in trouble, but not only does Weekend show up with the ultimate, Nox comes along for the ride. MLC shows up, and what was a 2-on-1 quickly turns into a 3-on-2. And Allegiance says, surprise, Mama Jamma, and everybody shows up, and the left side is heated.
We were talking about Noble having to make these plays, and if they can't make the plays quick enough, all of Allegiance is going to be there to capitalize. Weekend playing the Athena, just been doing a great job being all over the place.
I mean, that just makes you smile. You can hear me smiling right now. The combo of the Nox into the Athena and the Athena ult come down. It looks like you're ganking a lonely Medusa, but then the whole squad shows up, and you gotta be a little bit surprised. Down comes the stomp, and there's 3 people? I guarantee you Noble, like everybody knows that MLC Stealth can do that, but I guarantee you Noble got caught by surprise. Ado got caught by surprise. MLC drops the bomb.
And now Incon trying to dive. Mirage is going to be forced on now. Stealth not being able to connect the roots. Stunned out is Venenu, but he's going to dash away into safety. Still a 4-on-2. Noble trying to defend, but on the side, Whalrus making the rotation. Cope is soon to follow.
Cope keeping Whalrus a little bit out of this team fight. Wow, we're going to be chased away by Weekend. And Wubbn, well, he's forced out by MLC Stealth the hard way. 5 players in Allegiance jerseys now here, marching down the left-hand side. What are they, white, black, and orange?
Well, it doesn't matter what they are because they're grouped up to get this last remaining Tier 1, or the first Tier 1 tower. 11 minutes in. It's not as quick as they were in the first game, and it just goes to show that Noble have been making the adaptations necessary to still stay relevant. Honestly, I thought going into this tournament, Noble were kind of experiment and go off the wall with their picks and bans, but they've still been playing very kind of standard picks.
Yeah, we see a little bit of flair here and there as Cope takes down Whalrus, and that'll open the window for Allegiance to start up with the Gold Fury. But in general, like you said, Noble trying to play a little bit more traditional, trying to play spoiler here. Wowy going to get dashed on and finds a way to safety over the wall. And again, Allegiance walks back towards the objective.
Incon was using his ultimate, trying to get the movement speed bonus. Wubbn, though, getting taunted in. He's going to be dead immediately. Now the rest of Allegiance, they want to extend into Wowy. Venenu, though, getting traded. Great dive by Mirage.
Mirage still the good point in this match. Down from the sky comes the ultimate. Out of Weekend, and plop. There's the kill. Right on top of the Athena one more time. Comes in clutch. 2-0-5. Across the way, though, Mirage. Again, his team is down right now. Not quite down for the count, but Mirage this time around is sort of the shining light for Noble. 3-1-1. We saw the double kill early on come out from the Nemesis. It was one of the comfort picks for the young jungler as Allegiance takes away the Gold Fury, pushing them about 5K in the lead. Mirage, here's the deal though. I think the problem, just similar to one of the earlier games, we saw Whalrus really be a great force for Noble. But he was on an Osiris, character that can't really assert the dominance. Is that the case for the Nemesis? Can Nemesis take hold of a game and rip it out from Allegiance for Noble, or is he in the same position that Whalrus was?
Nemesis can't do it alone by herself. She has to have the assistance with some teammates. You can force one person out and then have somebody else clean it up. So if it's going to be Mirage and Whalrus on the same target, forcing them out, for example, maybe forcing out Stealth in these team fights, but Stealth can easily hide into somebody. It has to be maybe Venenu that they force out. But at the flip side, he's 3 levels behind Stealth, and Stealth is more of a threat right now, being level 14 with Bookatov finished, having the red buff at this point in time.
And that's just troublesome. That's problems for Noble across the way. The only one that's having a fantastic game here, or a decent game here rather, is pretty much just Mirage. 4 kills to 9 here. As Noble looking up at Allegiance, 31K to 35K or 36K here. 4.8, almost 5K in the lead. Noble's got to bite back, and they've got to bite back soon.
It's going to be very important for Noble to start grouping up and forcing the plays. They can't allow the sustain from Incon and the crowd control of the front line from Allegiance to really dictate the pace of this one. But it's going to be the rest of Allegiance now grouping up the same way they were in the first game, trying to take away the second tier 1 tower of the game.
Wubbn going to transform here to turn things around, and here comes Weekend slamming down on Wubbn. Ton of damage and through the ultimate, but it goes past Wubbn because he's already dead. Venenu gets credit for that one. Cope taking the tower. He'll have to be forced out, but Wowy too deep. Whalrus gets the return kill, but Weekend able to take out the Jing.
Venenu dashing in aggressively with very little health. He's going to be traded out 1 for 2, but now it's going to be Stealth diving the tier 2, not able to really find a kill, forced into the Sanctuary, but the tier 1 tower still being aggressed on. It's a 4-on-3.
But look, there's not a lot of tower damage here coming out of Noble. Till finally about now, Venenu able to come back around, and Cope able to really find his way onto the point. Whalrus goes down one more time. Whalrus just died, just came back from the base, and gets smacked again. 3 deaths in total for the solo laner that looked very strong throughout the day, but not able to make it happen here.
Taunt into silence, into the knock-up from Cope.
Oh.
No possible timing window did Whalrus have to use that big baby form to survive. At this point, having the meditation, now you can't even get purification. So if I was to maybe get Mad Guy's Blessing to prevent that infinite chain CC combination coming out of Allegiance, so have to be looking for that item if I'm Whalrus.
I agree, because there's nothing else he can do. But the problem with that is that Taunt's on a low cooldown. Buying Magi's Blessing is an issue going into an Athena because it's so easily stripped. I mean, even Incon can strip it from afar, drop it the pancake slam. I mean, you could do that from a distance. That becomes an issue, because then all of a sudden that Magi's Blessing just becomes a bad double protection item, you know? It's just not really indicative of a good build.
It just seems Allegiance have answered every single question that they need about their team composition with this chain CC. Very short cooldowns, and yet again, focusing Whalrus taunt into the silence. Unfortunately, no knockup available from Cope, but the ultimate did connect onto Whalrus, but he's going to be barely able to survive with his own.
Forces the ultimate. I love the precision out of MLC Stealth. Doesn't even hit Whalrus, hits the buddy next to him, and the burst AoE out of that ult allows the hit to go slam on the solo lane. Forces out not just the player, but also the ultimate. And that's going to make this push onto the tier 2 that much stronger. Nice hit out of the other side, but MLC Stealth hit a little bit harder. There's one turnaround for, again, Mirage. 4 kills to the jungle on the side of Noble.
But yet again, it's onto the Hunter that's 3 levels behind Stealth. So you do take out the Hunter, which is good, because now you don't have to worry about that much objective tower damage, but the sustain coming out of Incon, it forces Allegiance to keep making these aggressive plays.
Dash taunt, little bit of silence. That's all we see out of Allegiance, but it's all they need to do. Copebby is pushing out everybody else. Tier 2 still being attacked, but again, a little bit low on the structure damage and unable to really seal the deal here.
Allegiance going to back off. They don't want to overextend too much and give anything back to Noble. They're currently setting up a trap, waiting for somebody to come around the corner. Weekend was about to be in position to taunt Mirage, but didn't have the movement speed.
So here, Allegiance looking for the reset. Weekend again gets the double taunt. There's a root from behind the wall. Weekend gets one, and again, Mirage with the answer back. Weekend was taking the tower a little bit too long, and the clap out of Mirage able to make that one happen. Ultimate has been used. Mirage went a little bit too deep, and MLC Stealth 7-1-7. on the mid lane from Texas.
Just doing a great job. Despite avoiding the ultimate, he wasn't able to avoid everything else. And now Whalrus, he just had to back to base, and now he's going to have to try to run away from a sprinted stealth.
Number 8 is on the menu. Can MLC Stealth find the appetite for it? Waiting for the cooldowns. Everything going to come up in a moment. Waiting for the ultimate. There's the slam into the damage, but a good knockup from Whalrus. Finds the hit. One more will do it. MLC Stealth gets him with the in-hand. There's the mage, there's the taunt, and there's the money. 16 in total, and 8 belong to MLC Stealth.
Like we mentioned, the mage in-hands are so crucial sometimes to find these kills, and 2 of those kills were because Stealth was able to land them. Just a great mechanical skill from him so far. He's able to hit his abilities, he's able to hit those in-hands, and now Gold Fury is still available. Allegiance, they're going to try to go for their 3rd one of the game.
Half of these kills belong to MLC. Venenu going to get aggressed on. He gets taunted, but he's going to bring Athena along for the ride. Venenu, beautiful Sanctuary to stop the ultimate out of the Hunter. Nice turnaround stun, and that's going to save the life of the Snake Lady.
Stealth being able to throw out the ultimate in the mid lane. I think it hit Aduro too, so he's going to be ticking away. Is it going to kill him for the last tick? It's not this time. Aduro escapes into safety.
Again, we're talking 1 to 2 HP right there. Ooh, trouble in the mid lane. Allegiance now starting up the Gold Fury. Nice zoning. Wubbn gets stunned and Wubbn gets rooted. Weekend gets knocked up. And that's going to make Allegiance walk away.
If Stealth was there, that was going to be a guaranteed kill coming out of that player. So it's going to be another Gold Fury yet again from Allegiance, their 3rd one of the game.
And this one, it should go uncontested. Nobody from Noble really anywhere local. So that Gold Fury at 19.5 is going to push Allegiance even further into the lead. You're talking 9,000 gold just underneath it. Allegiance certainly have their hands on the driving wheel.
It's so difficult right now for Noble. They're not in the same position they were last game, but they can't let it keep getting out of control at this point. The next objective for Allegiance is going to be the Fire Giant. They need to find a way to not get chain CC. They can't all be grouped up against Weekend, who's going to be always looking for those dash taunts.
Yeah, I mean, that's an important thing to bring up, is that last game at this point, excuse me, this game was over. Not literally, but completely just over.
They were up like, what was it, 16, 17,000 gold at this point.
Absolutely. Noble now 9,000 gold. No, that's not a positive note, but it's certainly handleable. It's manageable. We've seen teams come back from this deficit. So with that in mind, Noble's got to play defense. Probably not on this tower. I think they should look for the Phoenix defense, but it does look like they're going to give a little bit of space to Allegiance. I think that's the right call, Toli.
A lot of map control now with Allegiance taking out that 2nd tier 2 tower. And look at this. Look how careful Allegiance are. They don't want to get this endgame objective until every single tower is stripped from Noble. They're going to continue being grouped up because they know they'll win these team fights with all their chain CCs. Look how much damage Wowy took.
That's a shield wall out of Athena and a lawn dart out of Copebby. That's it. That's 2 abilities. And Wowy just has to go back to base. He level 14. You're looking at Cope, he's got 17. Everybody else very high as well. There's the dash forward. Ton of damage. MLC Stealth the target for Mirage, and that's a trouble for Mirage because everybody's going to turn onto him. Still no death just yet. Noble forced out.
Great ultimate yet again from Stealth, hitting multiple targets. Whalrus barely able to escape, and yet again, Allegiance forcing the issue, going into the mid. Phoenix Wubbn has nowhere to go.
And just smacked down. Athena using the ultimate for the damage. That's one of the luxuries you get out of the jungle position Athena, is that ultimate does a ton of damage. And it's not ignorable. When you're stuck in that support position, a lot of times you want to use it to save somebody's life. And Weekend still has that option. But his primary goal is not to save somebody's life. And I'm actually very happy about the build. One, I love Mailer Renewal. I think it's a criminally underpurchased item, and I like to see it. But 2, I like to see the shard of the Obsidian shard. This is a raw damage option, which a lot of jungle Athenas forego. A lot of times you see jungle Athena build this tank, what you see like Ymir jungles do. But the damage that Athena brings cannot and should not be ignored. A lot of these kills are coming because of the damage out of Weekend.
We saw his first ultimate being used in that duel lane just ever so effectively, especially with that one-time ultimate that he was with Stealth. It's just a double wombo combo. So the more damage that you can have for your, especially the scaling between the shield wall and the Defender of Olympus, you have to be able to pair that with a little bit of penetration, especially in the late game. Looking at the itemization choices coming out of Noble, right now, they don't have the gold necessary to be this tanky.
I mean, the Raijin Third item, Soul Reaver. I want you to break down this build. Is this an issue? Is this a positive build for Aduro? Because a lot of times what you'll see is mages build the Soul Reaver when they're down because you just get the percentage down.
Well, at this point, they're so far behind and the Legions are just so tanky in the front line. We see the Bulwark of Hope coming from Cope. Maybe that could be an option coming out of Noble. If they can force out Cope and burst him down before he gets to sustain from his ultimate.
Certainly the thought process at the very least. The Legion's now making their push towards the right side. All towers gone and taken care of. Legion's dressed in red, at least in-game, dressed in white outside of it, looking to make one more push. 23 on the clock, 17 on the kills for Legion's. Minion wave just gets taken care of. So Legion's gonna pause for the moment until from the backside, here comes Weaken. The flank is big from the jungle and solo. Everybody getting smoked here, and down goes nobody just yet. I thought the Phoenix was in trouble, but nobody even looked at it from Allegiance. Instead, Weaken's flank does not work out. He gets bit in the butt, and everybody from Allegiance has to retreat.
Weaken is thanking his stars right now, barely able to escape that one. He does have his ultimate with Incon dashing in, not able to land that Defender of Olympus, but Wubbn going to get crippled.
Allegiance making the push. Here we go. Let's go to the Steel Series. Listen in and hear ALG take it down.
Phoenix.
All right. It's a Phoenix.
Heal on the left, Phoenix. Go left. I'll heal on the Phoenix. I have the on. They have the on. If they're here. Go ready. Go. Nemesis. Belt back. Nemesis down. Nemesis roll.
I'm on Phoenix.
Wait. Yeah. Kill Fam. Alright. Fafnir roll. I'm not telling him.
That's on me.
Here's the thing, guys. You might have called that a little bit boring, a little bit slow, but I actually think that that's why Allegiance winds up on top here. They're dominant, and you kept saying how careful they were being, Anatoly. The biggest takeaway I hear from that listening is Weaken. They're sieging. You hear me, the caster. I'm excited. I'm screaming. We go to the listening, and Weaken goes, tower,
Phoenix,
tower.
Phoenix.
They're up 20K. They're pushing for the win, and all you hear is one guy go, calm down, tower, we're gonna get the win. Slow, methodical, and careful. If you're too excited, if you're too aggressive, you can lose yourself. You can lose yourself in the adrenaline push, and we can make sure that him and his team does not do that. MLC Stealth gives a thumbs up to the camera. He knows he's taking home the win. It's a 2-0 for Allegiance above Noble.
We saw Weaken before in the comms, and this is the experience that he brings to Allegiance coming into the from the spring split later on in the split. This is what Allegiance really needs to excel, just that calm voice in the back of your head, because like you mentioned before, you don't want to be too overly excited. This is only the first day of this weekend. There's still 2 more to go, and ending the day with 4 points, Allegiance now going to be tied up with Eager at 4.
I mean, you know that Incon's going to bring the excitement. We've seen him on stream, at home, at LAN, you know, for those moments, because it's valuable. Don't get me wrong. You need that Jeff Hindler scream, right?
Oh, yeah.
You need that maniac throw. You need to have that excitement, but the balance is more important. Good balance keeps everything in line, and the 2-0 goes the way of ALG. We've got 3 analysts to break this one down. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much, Tom. And back to the analysts as we go with Agro and Drelo joining me. I'm going to go straight to you, Drelo.
Okay.
Talk me through that game. Honestly, what was the big signs for you?
Honestly, like I said before, against Nox, you need to play it slow, play it methodical. If you lose Peter Blue, it's not the big deal. Trade mids. Don't avoid any type of engagement. But instead, you saw the first buff respawn. They slammed their heads into things. You can't, when your comp outscales them into mid game and is weak in the early game, you cannot slam your head into things, or else you will just lose the game off the early game.
Yeah, on top of that, Aggro as well. We saw a lot of Nox and Ra today. They're the biggest focal points for me. Nox and Ra in the mid lane. Overall, do we have a strength of one over the other here?
They do 2 different things.
Yeah,
both need a lot of setup. They both do similar things with teammates because they both need a lot of setup. So you'll see a lot of Erlang, a lot of Athena, a lot of Terra, things like that you'll see with both. But Ra is all about let's shoot you from real far away and then back up and heal. Whereas Nox is let's bait your purification real quick and then we'll just wait to all-in you the next time that we get some CC on top of you. So you have to play the two kind of differently. You have to play really, really aggressive against Nox when you have Purification up. You almost want to get taunted in, because and then they're going to use the silence on you, and then you're going to beads, and that's 2 huge abilities down that you can just go and steamroll the team fight. But as soon as you don't have Purification, you don't want to be anywhere near those guys.
And on top of that as well, Draylo, when I look at this, I mean, the Nox players that came out from Stealth there, the whole job was burn Purification time and time again. Should they have been initiating into him as soon as the Purification is burned, because they know the combo's coming out?
Yes, that's the counter to Nox. You want to beats, then fight into Nox, and then make it so the Nox combo gets zero value. You want beats and then fights.
But the problem with that, though, is, I mean, Nox is quite mobile to escape as well. How do you really pin her down?
You just have to heavily go all in.
Just go all in.
You just have to go all in.
Or you can basically just ignore her. Once her cooldowns are fairly long,
That's right.
You just let her. If you can't get to her, you force her dash. Yeah, you want to make sure that she's using those movement abilities, but then just let her go. Shift your targets.
But then again, if you're going to shift your targets against that composition, where does your target shift to? The AD carry? It's the only other one you can really pick, right?
You can pick that. I mean, we saw Venenu get into some trouble sometimes underneath that mid Phoenix. He took a lot of damage and fell. So yeah, you can shift to the AD carry, but that Athena, especially in the jungle, isn't going to be quite as tanky and is going to be in your face, because that's the initiator. So as soon as that dash is used, you force Nox out, you purify away that CC, and then you look at the person who's right in front of you, and most times it's going to be Athena.
It's Athena or solo, and all she can really do is ult out there, and then you force it all.
And on top of that as well, when we look through the day overall here, Draylo, what was the biggest talking points that you took out of day one?
Biggest talking point out of day one? Well, we saw a Noble played, and the biggest thing I want to say is, like, God damn. Whalrus really carried them in that game too against LG. I was really surprised to see them even put up a fight, and it really showed that their only win condition in this LAN is if Whalrus pops off, and I'm hoping to see him have that same performance.
What about you, Egaro?
Rookies on different end of the spectrums. We've seen Cope look very good thus far. We've seen multiple people from LG look not quite as good. Eager are the Lanimals right now. We'll have to see going into day two. This is awesome.
We'll
this is
talk
like
about
a great
rookies
LAN
a little bit more. These guys who are rookies started off just competing online, and you guys can too over at Face It. You can go up, sign up, compete against some of the best as well, especially because matchmaking right now is being worked out and all the players are going through it too. Go over there, compete, win gems, and potentially see yourself on this stage in the future. But for now, that's pretty much all we've got time for at the analyst desk. It's time to throw it over to our boy Adonis, and he's got a big, tall, lanky man who plays Athena in the jungle.
Very, very tall. Weekend, no, you've been competing for a long time in Smite, both online and at LAN. I think heading into this, you were like 19 and 13 on LAN. What's it like being back in this environment?
It's exciting, especially going into Worlds with a team that you didn't necessarily think was going to be running for Worlds. Like when we started, it was like, let's have fun and see where we can go with it. Halfway through the season, we're like, all right, we can make Worlds.
Yeah, you guys had 2 really strong games against Noble, and I got to give shout outs to MLC Stealth. What has he brought to your team that's allowing you guys to succeed so much, not only online, but so far in Group A?
He's a hard carry. Like I went from Cyclone as that hard carry for me on AFK. MLC fills that role perfectly. Almost every game he will be top damage, no deaths, tons of kills, and he just does what he needs to do.
And we see you here on this Athena as well. Always bring in the dynamic styles. Do you feel like that gives you guys an edge? Because most people don't really play the game that you do.
I think our whole team actually has it. With AFK, it was kind of like that. Everyone could play these weird picks. Well, it's slowly coming. You see Nox. We're playing Nox like it's nothing. Athena falls in there. Incon can play whatever he needs to play. Cope can play weird stuff. You might see it coming out soon. But yeah, our team is interesting.
Maybe some spice for tomorrow. Tomorrow you are facing off against Luminosity. You didn't have any games against them today, but you did see Eager take a game off of them, or excuse me, Eager 2-0 them, and you took a game off Eager. Does that give you a lot of confidence heading into that matchup?
I mean, we had confidence coming into it anyway. I really didn't expect much of a lot of the rookies on LG. They're kind of proving what I said in my interviews beforehand. So I expect them to kind of mess up and us be able to take advantage of them in this next games.
I think you're very confident in your own team making it, obviously, through this into Super Regionals. What other team do you think is going to join you? And if not that, what's going to decide who's the second team?
You know, I would say Eager right now, but when these next couple games come up, you're going to see gods that you don't expect. And it's going to be whoever has those 3rd, 4th, 5th gods that they can play just as well as their top gods.
I think it's going to be some exciting stuff. Before we let you go, and before we let you guys go, any shout-outs you want to give?
Shout out to Team Allegiance for giving us this opportunity, man.
It's been an awesome day 1 so far in Group B. Thank you all for joining us. Again, this is only day 1 of 3 days of action. We're going to be back here live on twitch.tv/hi-rez TV for day 2 of Group B, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern.